So we designed these in Louisville, Kentucky, and they're built in Selmer, Tennessee. So these are all manufactured in the U.S. The one you guys are getting is a small chassis. That's the AVV 12. The S standing for small chassis. So you see these are both small chassis. The one you're getting is a inverter driven one. So the one on the left, you see that black box on the top. That's the inverter part of it. The one on the right is a single speed unit. But these are our small chassis blocks. And then we also have our large chassis. This is more with the makeup air and the MERV 13 filter addition added onto the front of the unit so that we can pull outside air in. We also have a 2-ton and in the small as well as in the large. So capacity goes up. You can always swap them out. They're exactly the same size as our current models, the 1-tons. And we make them easy to install, easy to connect, and easy to diagnose. Also easy to clean and maintain. We have parts that can be removed so you can get to the actual coil where the dirt is instead of trying to squirt through the fan housing and all that. Diagnostics is, we'll get into that a little bit. And then the easy to install, the platform and the plenum, all easy can be installed from inside the building. So we do have the Insta platform. We're going to show you how that works with our plenum and show you this installation video real quickly here.
There isn't a standard or recommended means of support for most vertical air conditioners. It's up to the contractor or installer to concept and build a support system. The two most common methods are building a wooden platform on site or using cinder blocks and shimming as necessary to achieve the correct height. In either case, these methods do not provide the proper support, stability, alignment, and means of drainage required for efficient, reliable operation. The ZoneLine Ultimate V10 and ZoneLine Ultimate V12 both use our revolutionary quick install system. This system saves up to 60% on installation time and makes maintenance and service simple. The quick install system install starts with a quick install wall plenum. Its expandable design works with wall thicknesses from 8 to 15 inches thick. The plenum also has a means of integration and support for our Insta platform. Locking pins and alignment tabs ensure the platform, once installed, is at the perfect height and secured to the plenum. Our outdoor grill can be attached to the plenum and the entire assembly can be installed by one person from the inside of the building, versus one person on the inside and one person on the outside, making this installation safer and faster. The Insta platform serves 4 purposes: a means of support, secure and proper alignment, quick and easy access for initial plumbing, and a self-contained drainage system. The self-aligning lock-and-place system and low-friction dimpled surface allow the chassis to easily slide into and lock perfectly in place. The integrated primary and secondary drain ports manage excess condensate water. This isolates drainage from the chassis, making plumbing connections easier and faster too. Locking pins and alignment tabs align and integrate the platform with the plenum. These pockets are used for 2x4s for front support. Condensate drainage can be directed to the left, right, or front. Insert 2 2x4s into the support pockets and the platform is ready for installation. Now place the chassis on the platform, and as you push it into place, the self-aligning ridges and lock-and-place recess ensure a perfect seal with a plenum gasket.
When you get that installation of that chassis, the that thing actually, when it drops in, actually makes a audible click when it drops down in there. So when you're doing installation, a lot of times what I'll do is go after somebody's had issues or problems. I go out to a site sometimes, and one of the things I'll do is shut the curtains to the room and turn all the lights out to see how much daylight's coming in around the unit. Kind of helps you look and see if there's any, if the seal's good or not. And if they're complaining about noise a lot of times we find that they're not pushed in all the way tight where they can make a good seal. So make sure that that's being done when we're doing installation. Minimize this. It looks like everybody can still hear, I guess. So let's see on that one. I wanted to go forward. Sorry. Right. All right. So with that platform, that secondary drain will actually be connected to a small pipe that'll extend to the grill and actually drain to the outside of the building. I noticed on your guys' list that you're going to have the it's the SW on the end, or WS, the wall sleeve that is insulated for Canada. It's got extra insulation on it. That one does have to be installed from the outside prior to putting on siding. So just be aware of that. That one has to be installed from the outside. They had the grills on that list. What else was on there? Was the 330 direct connections, the grill, the Ravel 3 grill, the big access panel, got that, and then some 20 amp direct connects, as well as the 150. But that cold weather sleeve that you have, that SW RAV WPT 9 SW, is the cold weather sleeve, and that does have to be installed from the outside. It is adjustable for different inches of depth of the building, but it needs to be installed from the exterior because the flanges are on the outside of it with that extra insulation. So let's see, go on from here. We do use rubber grommets on all of our fan motors to make our units as quiet as possible. You'll see those. We also make the bulkhead out of a one-piece SMC, which is a sheet molded composite. It is more like a fiberglass material. Our base pan and our Rav Plat D are also made out of the same material. No rust, no corrosion, eliminates all that panel vibration and noise as well. We also bake on a mastic coating onto that bulkhead to stop noise being transferred from inside to outside. If you have a makeup air unit, you're going to have a little bit louder noise just because you've opened a path to the outside through the makeup air. But with that bulkhead, we stop a lot of our fan noises and other noises that might be coming through on a regular size unit. We do have 2 ECM fan motors in there as well, which allows us to control the speed of the fans. We can bring them up slow and down, which helps a lot with the sound quality. They are ECM motors, and they're small, compact, and they last a long time, and allows us to get a bigger fan in there as well. So we've got a bigger fan that'll allow us to move more air. We have a universal heater in our units, and that heater is actually in 3 sections. That allows us to do things that other people cannot do with VTACs and PTACs, which is boost heat. We can actually turn the unit on heat pump mode and turn on a 1K heater at the same time and actually raise the temperature of the heat pump output if people are complaining that it's a little bit of cold air blowing on them. Even though it's 80, 90 degrees temperature, it's warmer than what you're requesting the room to be. But most people feel a gas heat source is usually like 120 degrees coming out of the vents. So they think it's cold air versus their skin temperature of 98 when it's like 80, 90 degrees. So adding the boost heat will actually add a little electric heat to it and can solve a lot of problems if there's complaints. We do have on all of our inverter-driven motors are twin rotors. It helps balance the unit, makes it quieter, and there's a lot less wear and tear on the thing. The other part of that is, with these inverters, we actually have what we call sound juries. We actually go out to hotels, motels, install our equipment, and have our people that work here and other people come in, sit in the room, and listen to the unit run at various different speeds with their compressor at different speeds, the fans at different speeds. And if there's objectionable noises or vibrations at a certain speed, our guys will program it to skip that speed and make this thing as quiet as possible. We really have worked a lot on our sound. We have one guy that's his whole job is just for sound. So one thing to remember, we always suggest anything that's inverter driven to be protected. Voltage monitoring and surge suppression. Inverters do not like brownouts. They do not like spikes, but brownouts in three-phase buildings a lot of times will cause more issues. You can see, like near data centers, you'll see times where the data centers are pulling down a whole lot of voltage, and all of a sudden they'll have a brownout on one leg, and it'll cause disruptions throughout that area. Just with that one data center might be pulling that much voltage out. So with that, if you have a AV ES18, an AV VS24 or 24, the large, we don't recommend them on the RAK 315D because the power coming in is actually going to derate that unit. If it's running the boost or the other parts, it's actually not going to run full capacity because it doesn't have enough power to run max speed on those compressors and run the electric heat. So not recommended on those. It will work, but it'll downgrade it a little bit on the high end. But then if you use the RAK 320 or the 330, you should get the maximum out of both of those. With our 2-ton unit, you can actually pull 6.5 pints of moisture out of the air per hour because we have targeted dehumidification. We have 2 EEVs on these units, and the EEVs actually control the refrigerant flow and can actually determine, like, get it into a dehumidification mode. So you can make any room 68 degrees, but making it comfortable takes the moisture out of the air, makes it more comfortable. So by dehumidifying with these units, we can actually get these inverter-driven products to go into a true dehumidification mode right after it gets that room temperature down. And these things will fight to make sure that that room stays between 40 and 60% humidity all the time. Any questions so far? Good.
Robert, that targeted humidity, that's only with the one thermostat though, right? If they have the non-communicating thermostat, it won't dehumidify, right?
It'll do better with our thermostat, that RAK 190V, because it has a humidistat built into it, and it actually can tell it from the opposite side of the room what it is. But we still have a humidistat built into our unit, so it's still going to run a dehumidification mode, but it'll do better with the RAK 190V because it'll have 2 sources of detection. Makeup air you're not having on your product, but makeup air is that air that blows you back out of a store when you try to go in. That's makeup air most of the time. You're trying to walk into the store, you get that blast air knocking you back. They bring fresh air in from outside, condition it, and then pressurize the building. A lot of the buildings that have windows that don't open, they need fresh air to come in from outside. So you bring it in through your either a DOAS system or makeup air like we have, and that pressurizes the room, replaces the exhaust fans, and then everything that takes air out of the building, it gets replaced by makeup air. If they are transitioning from a existing product to ours, we have transitions, and those transitions can take you from, like this one is for a First Company, which is a brand of VTACs. They are skinnier and taller than our product, but we have an adapter that allows us to adapt to their existing sleeves. So if they want to switch from First Company to ours, there's a couple of things you got to do is make sure A, it's going to fit, and B, make sure there's enough room for the door to close as well, because our units are a little wider, so there are measurements there for the large and small chassis, but we have lots of transitions that go from Magic Pack to other parts to Amana, Friedrich, all the other brands. We have a lot of adapters that'll basically adapt our product into where there's existing. Similar product here. This is one of the First Company kits on the right. The access door that you guys are getting, the extra large one, that's on the left. And the exterior grills that you would have, the small grill, the small plenum, and then the power connections as well. You see there, that is an 8-wire power connector. We do have that RAK 190, and it only needs 4 wires to connect our unit because it's two-way communicating. And it has a different connector that comes with that thermostat, but that is for wiring up a standard 24-volt thermostat. You need to have 2 cools and 3 heat cycles available from a thermostat to be able to connect it to it. There is a website from on YouTube that is GE Appliances, and we have all these videos for PTACs and VTACs there. This is my predecessor, Todd Allen. He retired. I took his place, and he's got a lot of videos. I'm shooting new videos in June, so we'll have more stuff and more dedicated stuff online pretty soon. We also have the quote to job checklist. This is a PDF that you can actually use to check off to make sure you're getting all the pieces and parts you need for one quote, to make sure you don't forget something. Questions or comments on that section? All right. So we have a engineering, and we call these the engineering and architects manuals. So there's a lot of engineering data in this manual. So if you need to spec out anything on these products, we have a lot of this, a lot of the numbers that you might need to spec the units out. So we have the E series, which are fixed speed cooling with electric heat, and then the AVV series, which can be the small or the large, either in the 12 or the 24. But if you look at our 12, a lot of times in the cooling mode, you're going to see it's almost a 2-ton or 1.5. It's 16,000 BTUs in cooling, where the 2-ton is 24,000 BTUs. But we call it a 1-ton unit. So we have those as well with the heat pump, and then 265 voltage as well. Notice the difference between the E here and the D here. That is our voltage on the product. So if you're getting any accessories, make sure that the D or the E is matching, because power cords and stuff like that have to go with the right product. Otherwise, you plug in the E power cord to the D unit and it's not going to operate at all. It's not even going to power up or come on. And here's our nomenclature, so you can see how it breaks down in this manual. But by picking your power cord, you also pick out your total wattage on your heater. So by doing a 15 amp, you're maxing out your wattage at 2,500, whereas the 20 amp, you're going to do 3,500, and the 30 amp, you're going to end up at somewhere in the 5,100 range for power watts. So remember that when you're speccing out and trying to make sure you get to the right part, what drives your heater, your electric backup heat, is going to be all in your power cord. Connections. For the VTACs, the only power cord we offer is the direct connect, because they have to hardwire into our unit. There is a place for the hardwiring coming in right here. And the controls that are on board as well, the makeup air, other features and benefits that can go through it. But in this manual, you're going to find a lot. I'm going to send this to Christian, and he can forward it to you guys as well. So if you need any info, if they decide to make custom grills, we have a minimum calculation that has to be done. We're seeing a lot of these that are done incorrectly lately, and we're starting to get more like air resistance on the outside when people make their own grills. But I know you guys are buying our grills, but just something to keep in mind if they do something in the future. What else? There's the different power connections. You can see the 8-wire, all of the connections that would be needed for the Y2 as well. And then for the two-way communicating, the 190V, it needs the 24 volt to power it up. And then it has basically a data A and data B. It's like in and out for the communication. Installation, overviews, all that as far as making up the closets and building into the buildings, how to connect that ductwork above, and a lot of the auxiliary controls. We can actually turn on and off the heat sentinel, freeze sentinel, auxiliary controls. You can also do constant fan auxiliary. The one thing that's really good is here, they have heating modes, so you can do e-heat only, high demand, hybrid, boost heat pump, and then heat pump only. So you can actually go in and override different parts where it'll only run heat pump and not run the auxiliary heat. But it's easy to do from the auxiliary controls and can be easily set. With makeup air, it's adjustable in 5-degree increments. And makeup air auxiliary, where is it? C1, here we go. So C1 is for like a central desk control, but it also can be used to hook up a fan, power cords, accessories. We do have other thermostats as well that can be used. So the RAK, I believe you guys are getting the RAK 150 VF2 here, which is a 24-volt two-way communicating, and it will work with our inverter-driven products. So, else suggested, got it, good. Here's deep diver into specifications if you need any of that. And there's our wiring diagram for our main board for variable speed. And our reversing valves, are they listed there? Everything's on this wiring diagram that you might possibly need, and I'll send this to him as well. But remember that with that 3 heaters in there, we can also do that boost heat and also the dehumidification, because we can actually turn on that heat during the dehumidification and not raise the temperature in the room more than 1 or 2 degrees. So it has an electric reheat. We are also working on a refrigerant reheat, having 2 4-way valves on the unit so that we can do a compressor run reheat. And so transitions like this, RAV Trans 1, RAV Trans 2 is for older Island Air models. We have a RAV Trans 3 and 4, and those are for the Friedrich replacements. And then the VRP is done, and the new one's coming out as Magic Pack, and we got another one coming after that. So we can adapt a lot of stuff to make it work if it's somebody else's product in the building. All right. Questions or comments there? Got to be some questions now. Come on.
Yeah, Robert, I got a question for you. Is there an itemized list of a testing sequence that you guys have once the unit's installed?
Like a checklist of like installation? No, and I'm working on one because we've seen so many, and I'm actually working on an installation training that it'll be like deep dive installation and how to install the unit and make sure we don't forget this and that. So I'm working on that because I've seen the need out there. A lot of times when I'm going on these job sites, I'll go and see all these installation issues and problems. People can't wire up a 24-volt thermostat or even program it half the times to make it work properly before we even get there. The other part of that is like that platform, right? When you install that platform, you hang that platform on the unit, check it for level, and then measure from the bottom of the platform to the floor, and then add 3 inches, and that's the size of the leg, right?
Yeah.
We had guys that went and did one and cut them all the boards the same size, and then went and installed them all. So some of them were too high, some of them were too low. So it does have to be done room to room, because you're depending on how that RAV plat's installed on the outside. It may be a 1/4 inch higher, lower, 1/2 inch, whatever. But if it's not level to that thing, you're not going to get that great seal that we have on there. And that seal is like an inch, like 3/4 to an inch thick foam, and it's pretty stiff. So you have to push on it pretty hard to get it to lock in. And a lot of people can't do that. So,
because I've had my my lead hand that was here at the time spoke with somebody down in Kentucky, and he had mentioned that there is a sequence on the VTAC that you could go in, and I think it was to hit your plus, minus, and then the auxiliary button, and it puts you into a test mode.
Yes, you
And
can.
then from there you can go to your thermostat, and you can go into your heating, your fans, and your cooling settings, and do a quicker speed test rather than having to wait for the actual thermostat to function in and out.
Exactly. You can go in and force it into a cooling mode or a heating mode and
Yeah.
actually get it to run. The other thing I used to do was, because these things sit in a closet and they have a thermostat, if they say it's not cooling, it's not responding to the thermostat, the first thing I do is I have a little jumper that plugs into that same plug. It was one little plugs for the thermostat wires, and I would just wire the red, the yellow, and the green all together, twist them together in one wire nut, and unplug that thermostat, plug that in. If it took off cooling, great. I knew that the thermostat was the problem. If not,
Yeah.
then I dig in deeper. But now with this onboard diagnostics, you can actually just push the buttons, force it into the cooling mode to see if it'll run.
Exactly, because then if there's an itemized list of kind of to get it into that testing mode, systematically go through the sequences to confirm that it's responding to the heating, to the electric heating, the high, low fan speeds, your ACs, high, low, and et cetera, right? Then it gives them like a 15-minute window per unit, because we do condo build, so there's 100+ units that we're installing. And it just gives a quicker, more direct testing mode to confirm that the wiring is good or needs further looking at by our other control specialists or electricians.
Exactly. Let me see if I have one here. I think I have one. Come on, wake up. No, this is the VTAC version. Sorry. But yes. So here, the service modes, the fault codes, all that can be entered in through this. Just the button pushes. The VTACs have an aux button that is hidden, but on our unit, once you open that closet door, we have an aux button right on that touch panel control. So it's the same kind of sequence as this, but you can get in and you can go into the fault codes. You can go in and pull up old fault codes and see what they are, or you can go into service mode. Let me get that over here. Why is this not going away? Well, and remove it. Sorry. Won't.
So Robert, is that list available in the actual manual instructions, or is that something we have to access online to get that list?
Well, I'm trying to get them to put them online with every product, because if you don't have one, it's hard to see. I'm sending out a service manual for these units as well, service guide. But this little section here is what we call a mini manual. It comes on every one of these products.
Yeah.
Inside of it somewhere, you're going to find a paper that's folded up, and in there is the instructions that you're seeing on the screen.
Gotcha.
And what that is, like here's the service mode, right? You were saying, come on, zoom in over there. Can't get it to slide over, sorry. It's like too big for the screen. But in this service mode, you can actually go in and go to forced cooling and forced heating to see if it's going to run for you or not. You can go in and change the reversing valve and get it to run in heat pump mode, or to turn on the electric heat. You can run fans. So if you're having a noise issue or problem, running the fans will be a great way to see if the fan's causing the problem or the compressor, whichever's causing the noise problem that you might be finding. One of the things I see a lot on the installation too is like the drain pipes that run down inside the closets from floor to floor to floor. They need to be like near the wall, not near the product, because we had some that ran right alongside of our units that were like vibrating against them. So where you run your drain lines also could be very beneficial, and where you have enough clearance around that unit to make sure we don't have a vibration or touch. If you're going to use big, thick filters, you want to put them on the door and not on the unit. The further you get the filter away, the better that thing can breathe. So if it's a MERV 13 filter or whatever, you want to make sure you put it on the door, like the 2-inch thick. Better on the door than right up against the unit, because it'll actually choke off the airflow going in. What else? I have this one, but if that one is, that's the same one. Okay.
Robert, are you looking for instructions on how to go through those test modes? Is that what you're looking for?
Do you have something? Because I can't
No,
find what I had.
I just opened the technical manual that you sent me a little while back, and I was about to go through it.
I have it on the video with the VTACs, but not on for the VTACs yet. So,
is it exactly the same?
It's a little bit different on the VTACs. Not much, but it's basically the same because the aux button's in a different place, so jumping in and out, it's basically the same, yes. But here's our spec sheet for that unit that you have. Installation requirements for it. All the accessories that you might. All in a spec sheet for that unit. Do you have it? That.
I'm looking through that technical manual. Did you want me to pull it up? Is that?
If you have it handy, yes. I don't have it handy
Sure.
right here. I could find it, but it'd be a minute. I don't want to waste our time if you have it.
This one?
Yeah.
Where do you want me to go?
All right. Where we at? Where does it say?
There's auxiliary control features here.
Yep.
Or
Or
do you want
service mode.
Service mode, page 80.
80. Yeah. So this is a AZ9V though. This is the old style. The only difference is it has a power button on there now. So
yeah,
that's what I was saying. I don't have the updated one. This is the only one we have right now. So they added a power button on the front, and that was about it. But as you can see, this holding those two buttons and then hitting the mode button, it's going to get you into that auxiliary mode or the service mode. And once you get in there, go to the next page. Should be able to see all the different entry points you can do. You can go in and run the compressor. Some of these, like the CL is going to run your cooling. The HP will run the heat pump. EH will run the resistance heat. These letters have changed. That's why I didn't want to do a whole lot of this. The letters have changed on the newer design. So you may see something different on there, but I will get you the correct one and send it to you. Because
that'd be perfect. Because then that just sets a standard that we could use across our building and our company that makes sure we hit all the points.
Exactly. I don't want them telling you, well, find E1. Well, it doesn't show up on that one, right? So we'll make sure we get you the correct one. This is the older version, just so you know.
Okay, perfect. Right. Thank you.
So Robert, they press these two buttons simultaneously, then mode, then aux. You press aux to exit the service mode. So you press mode and then
from there it's going to pop up on the screen, and then you can scroll down from there using the plus or minuses. Yeah, and then I think the mode activates that mode that you plus or minus to get you into that mode.
Okay. And you'll send me an updated one of these that I can attach to the send out for these guys?
And that's one of the videos I have to shoot also, is how to get in and out of that mode. There is a way you can also detect to see if it's actually sending the 24-volt signals to your unit. It'll light up different lights and sections. So there's a way to get into a mode where it'll actually tell you if your thermostat is sending you the 24-volt signal. So you can actually see that on there as well.
And another thing to keep in mind for when you're doing checkout procedures is it, if you're just going off this, then you're not really testing the wiring or the thermostat. Do we have test modes built into the thermostats?
No, that thermostat does not have a test mode built into it.
Okay.
You would just literally like make sure that it would run heating, cooling from the thermostat. Check the reversing valve is, switching between hot, cold, and heat pump mode. If you run a thermostat up or down more than like 4 degrees, you're going to activate that heat, the electric heat and heat mode. So if you're doing a heat pump test, you turn it up a couple of degrees at a time. Don't turn it up like 5-10 degrees. Just turn it up a couple of degrees, let it run for a little while to check to see if the heat pump's actually working properly. Because otherwise you're going to kick into that electric heat. And
Thanks.
Trying to see if there's one other commercial good. Not a whole lot else. But installation, definitely. When you're mounting that thing to the wall, make sure it's anchored well. Went to one with just some drywall screws, and they had their plenums were actually pulling loose. I like to see something a little more substantial there, something more with a flat head, maybe with a washer behind it, something that's actually going to pull up tight to the unit. A lot of the drywall screws are beveled on the inside, and they'll dig in, and then all of a sudden they're loose again. So make sure they're using good screws to attach it to the building as well. And that's all I think I got right now. Unless you guys want to watch some, I can send you that videos that we have current. But other than that, I can send you all the links for everything we have, Christian. We can get this group taken care of. And I hear I'm going to come and visit you guys in person, so I'd like to do that as well. As far as being able to see one of these units and take it apart and show you what the guts inside and how to maintain and install and everything else. So I'm hoping we do that pretty soon as well.
I think Steve was saying that this project starts in the fall, so I think we were planning on trying to line something up in September.
Okay. Before we start doing the install, I'd like to I'll do a whole presentation on the installation, so that if you got guys that are going to go out and do the installation, we can get that all set up so that we don't miss anything when we're installing it. I have to develop that anyway, but I'll develop it just for you guys, so I can get you guys where you can make sure you get a good installation, so you're not going to have any issues or problems down the road.
Just a question on using the 2x4s for the legs of the stand. Are you guys in the States having any issues with that? Like, inspectors down here are calling the closet a return air plenum and saying non-combustibles, like we'll have to use different product as the stands. Or do you have any other suggestions?
I honestly have not had the problem down here. We've heard that people calling it a plenum, more worried about the plastic being in there than the wood legs.
Exactly.
So they're more worried about our composite material than the wooden legs. So I personally would be more worried about the plastic as well, as it generates a heck of a lot more smoke that's not breathable. So I haven't heard that anybody asking for different legs at this point. No.
Okay.
But,
all right.
I mean, there are options, but the only other options is unless you're doing something out of steel, but what else can you put in there?
Are the closets built out of steel stud and non-combustible sheathing, or
they rate it with drywall? Yeah, so it's a completely rated closet.
Yeah, they'll line the closet with drywall a lot of times and not even finish it half the time. So,
Robert, would they be able to use steel stud?
I'd have to check because I don't know. I mean, steel stud tends to be like sharp edge at the top. I don't know if that would cause a problem with that SMC base or not. So I'll bring that up. I'm headed to another meeting with the whole product team, so I will. I can bring that up at that meeting and see what they say.
It would also have to be secured better at the bottom because it wouldn't lock into the pockets as well.
Yeah,
Just spitballing.
I'm just trying to think if there's any other stand mechanism that they use. I don't, other than the 2x4s, I don't know. I mean, could they just wrap the 2x4s with drywall if they had to? I mean, that's the only other possibility. Or put some coating on them that stops them from being
Or a coating. That's what I was thinking. We could paint them with the fireworks.
fire resistant coating, right?
Yeah.
But we haven't really had a whole lot of problem with that because, you know, it's in that closet. And a lot of times there's that flex duct above it, and it's the same, you know, how much you got to do. So, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
One thing I would suggest is if they're in their installation process, if they are using duct seal at all, that mastic like duct seal brushed on stuff, protect their model and serial tags with some blue tape before they do that. Because I've seen a lot of them where they've literally covered them right up.
Okay.
Warranty wise, everything else, your model and serial tag needs to be still there. So just a heads up from that one.
Liam or Tim, did you have any service questions and things that you guys have been running into? They're muted.
So we do have a
See a
service
question
tool.
in the chat there. Yeah.
We do have a service tool similar to like what a car has where you plug it in, but it is got a requirement of like annual or biannual. I can't remember what they charge, but we have a service tool that you have to subscribe to. But on a tablet or a phone, you could actually plug in this little box to the unit and it'll actually give you all the thermistor readings, all the fan speed readings, everything. It's a great diagnostic tool and it shows you all the fault codes and everything else. It allows you to do the service mode like you do from the touchpad. But you get all of your numbers at once instead of like going in and checking a one thermostat or, you know, checking the speed of the compressor is a little bit more time consuming if you have it through the touch panel. But if you have this module, it's a lot easier. But I don't know. A lot of people don't like to pay for them, but they do make your life a lot easier.
Robert, there's a couple of questions in the chat.
Okay.
One of them was recommended filter change frequency, and one was is the new generation electric heat only below temperatures of 4 Celsius like previous generations?
All right.
That would be off thermostat algorithm, wouldn't it?
The heat pumps we have, if they're inverter driven, the one you guys are getting will go all the way down to 0 Fahrenheit. What is that Celsius in Canadian? What is that? 18? What is it? I don't know.
Minus 15.
Minus 15 is 0 Fahrenheit.
That doesn't sound right, but I'm sure they know. So will the electric heat only come on below?
Below, yes.
Yeah.
Unless you can go in and actually adjust it to come on at different times. I mean, you can tell these things to shut down earlier. You can adjust the heat pump mode, like the cutoff point on these. So if it's, you know, below 40 degrees outside, you don't want the heat pump to come on. You only want the electric to come on. You can set it that way as well. So you can tell it what outdoor temperature to cut off at. But they are all set up to do it 0 right now. So at 0, they'll start switching over to the electric heat.
Is that through that service mode?
A lot of them, yes. And maybe not on the one you have. It'll be on the new one I'll send you.
Okay. And then recommended filter change frequencies.
Honestly, depends. most people do them like depending on the filter every 3 to 6 months, depending. But a lot of times we see like the ones on the first floor of a building like tend to need to be cleaned more often just because they're at ground level and all the dust and dirt that gets stirred up outside gets sucked in or not. But you know, depends on how much usage that your room's going to get as well too. But a lot of them will have standard setup times to change out filters. But again, there's different. If it's the 2-inch filters, it might be every 6 months. If it's the real thin ones, once a month, every couple of months, depending on the usage. But yeah, it's not. I think it's more of depending on how often they're running them and using them. And, is the building occupied 24/7 versus not. So
Yeah, we get a lot of dirty filters quickly because we're still in a construction area, right?
yeah,
So there's
all of
dust
our units
flying.
come with it. We call it a construction filter. It's a 1-inch thick filter. We're just trying to keep the coil clean during construction, but it comes mounted on the unit. But if they're gonna do, filters, the better place is to actually have them in the grill on the door, because it doesn't restrict as much airflow from there. So
Okay, another question too. What MERV rating is recommended for those filters?
we have ours rated all the way up to the MERV 13 filter, but if it's a MERV
Okay.
13, it's got to be on the door, not on the front of the unit.
Okay, so something less, eight or less, or
Yeah, anything's fine. But we do rate our CFMs based on a MERV 13 as well. So
okay.